Hello and welcome to your in-depth horoscope forecast for September. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. That means every time I release a video, you'll get an alert. Now also, if you'd like to ascend above Zodiac sign astrology and embrace natal astrology based on your time, date and place of birth, please check out my special offer of a 12-month forecast and a character analysis and get 30% off. Please see the link beneath this video for more information. Hello Scorpio and welcome to your monthly horoscope for September. Now as this month begins, so the Sun, but your traditional ruler of Mars, are in a glorious part of your situation. The 11th house in the sign of Virgo is around friendships, it's around networks, group interactions, it's where you can find commonalities. But Mars, of course, is about instant gratification and it is about the self. But in the 11th house, it's able to let go of some of that and be more collaborative in its approach. And the Sun and Mars forge some awesome angles to your other ruler this month in modern astrology, of Pluto, your higher octave ruling planet. And that's really going to be very exciting for you. So let's just wind back to the start of the month. So Uranus, the planet of surprises, of truth, of the need for independence and freedom, continues in your 7th house. This is about relationships, but it's also where you compete. And it's forging a trine to the Sun in your 11th house. So who you connect with, I think, could go through quite a big change this month. You may find new people coming into your world, people that really seem to be on your wavelength, because these are the type of people that refresh the parts of your nature that some other people don't. And however fond of those folks you may be, I think you're in the mood to really meet people who share your understanding of trends and patterns, your own sort of higher connection. And that's really exciting because the new moon, which occurs on the 7th, also embraces that Uranian energy. So changes in the air, but it could be around your relationships. Now it could be around a personal relationship because Venus, the planet of love and affection, is locked away in a very sensitive area as this month begins. It's going to be moving into your sign on the 10th. But if there is a relationship that's struggling a little bit, it's right angled to Saturn, it's right angled to Pluto, which occurs from the 3rd to the 9th, could see you making a big decision about a relationship that's not working. But equally, Venus is forging a lovely angle to Saturn across the same days, which can see you counting your blessings about someone who has been a steadfast person in your life. And even if they're not quite as exciting as the Sun's angle to Uranus sees you craving for at this time, you may really be very conscious of the importance of them. Now, the 7th new moon is a chance to think also about your long-term future. The 11th house isn't just about friends, it is about your direction of travel. Now, the 11th house is rather different from the 10th house, which is very much about those traditional status positions that we have, you know, the kind of work we do, the property we live in, the money we earn, and this kind of stuff. The 11th house is much more noble. This is the kind of Aquarius energy. It's more about what our higher purpose is, and that's what you're being asked to divine on that 7th of September date. And the next month can be very exciting for you because I think some kind of radical change in your world is writ large in the sky for you. But also, Mars, your traditional ruler for the first 10 days of this month, is in a fantastic link with Pluto. So your two rulers, modern and in Pluto and traditional in Mars, are collaborating in a fantastic way. And if there's somebody who speaks the same way, thinks the same way, has the same kind of world view, but can bring some fresh perspectives as well, but your basic instincts or basic values are very aligned or akin, this can be a tie that really gathers pace in a very exciting way. Now in week 3, the Sun replaces Mars in the same alliance with Pluto. And, pardon me, the Sun in a trine with Pluto is one of the most profound of all in astrology, because the Sun really obviously is our life support system, but Pluto is about change. And of course it can be about the dark arts, it can be about control, manipulation, guilt, jealousy. But in this refreshing trine, it's about promoting the concept of change in a positive way. So with the Sun in your 11th house of the future and Pluto in your 3rd house of how you think, speak, connect with people on an everyday basis, it can all fit together in a very motivating but very evolving way that you can understand more than most people, because your sign is so much about evolution. You can be very adhered through your fixed energy to particular ways of being, and then you can go through some quite colossal alterations. So this is an opportunity this month to sort of manage the change a little bit more rather than have the changes forced upon you. So that's wonderful, because that's not always the case with Pluto. Sometimes it can root out of our lives things that we're not quite ready to lose, and that can be very painful and challenging. But on the 10th, Venus moves into your sign. And if you are wanting to start again in terms of a romantic relationship, whether it's refreshing one you're already in that you've been reviewing carefully and perhaps sharing some honest opinions about what the future must hold for you both, or it is somebody new that you'd like to draw to you, just be aware in week 3, pardon me, Venus is going to be opposite Uranus. Now Uranus is in your sector of relationships, but it's also a planet that's exalted in your sign. So weirdly, being a fixed sign, you have a real appreciation sometimes of gadgets, gizmos, technology, or fresh approaches. There's a kind of dichotomy there, if you like. So something electric can happen in week 3 around a relationship, which could really make your pulse race. But it's true that Mars, the traditional ruler, does pitch up in your 12th house from the middle of the month. And I just have to say that through to the end of October, if there is any past issue or hurt or lingering resentment or trauma that relates to your past that's not really resolved in a completely satisfactory way, even if you think it is, you may be quite surprised by how flashes of anger but also of sadness do manifest themselves at times over that 6-week period. But remember, with astrology, the stars are only going to bring to the surface anything that is awaiting activation. If you're very at peace, very calm with your past existence, Mars in the 12th house could see you getting a job, for example, working in an institution like a hospital or a prison or some kind of big organisation where you play a very valuable part, perhaps working behind the scenes, but still a very valuable part. So there are always multifaceted ways to look at astrology and the ingresses or movements of planets as they make their way through the area of operation known as the 12th house in this case, which can be to do with review. But because Mars is about instant gratification and impatience, that's why it can bring to the surface some vulnerabilities or past unresolved angers. But on the 19th, Mercury goes into shadow in your 12th house, and that's quite complex. So if there are some threads that do need talking about, certainly by the 27th, when it fully goes into retrograde, a tender time is activated through to the middle of October, to be honest. There is a full moon which occurs on the 20th, but it's in your sister water sign of Pisces, which is all about romance and joy, the 5th house, and why not? But you're just being asked to be mindful of what you want to do for yourself in terms of your personal expression still fits in with what the needs of the group are. Not that you shouldn't go for what you need as an individual, but just things are in balance. Time management may be something you need to look at. Your popularity can be very high with Venus in your own sign, and you can't please all of the people all of the time. But then on the 22nd we have the autumn equinox, and the sun moves on to the Earth point in the sign of Libra, and we enter the third cardinal quadrant of the year in Western tropical astrology, which is based on the seasons. And this activates the time when, of course, in Libra, it's about balance, but it's also communicational. So it's about listening, but also it's about being attuned to others in a diplomatic way. It can be a lovely sign, the sign of Libra, but because it is quite logical, perhaps you're being asked to embrace some of that logic, because it's in that 12th house area that Mars is in, and the Mercury at this point in shadow, soon to be in retrograde. Then we have that opposition between Venus and Uranus that I told you before. And if you are looking for some action in terms of intimacy, that could create some real excitement. There's no doubt about it. The 27th, Mercury finally goes retrograde, but it is in conflict with your modern ruler broadly the last 10 days, 2 weeks of this month, to be honest. So the way you see something may be very different from how another person sees things, because Mercury, Mars and the Sun, all in the 12th house, is all about your fears and anxieties as much as your need for privacy, seclusion and retreat. And because Pluto's in the part of your horoscope about how you utter your ideas with passion and intensity, and perhaps a desire to punch across with real conviction how you feel, some very delicate stuff could come to the surface and someone could press a button as this month draws to a close. But I want you to really embrace September knowing that the big picture, the longer term plan that you're developing has a tremendous sense of opportunity to move forwards at pace. But it just may be that once you really get it going, you may kind of do something that's counterintuitive and sort of go into your shell a little bit and just analyze all that's going on, just to be sure that it really feels safe. But once the Sun moves into your sign, as it will next month, and you are going to then be supercharged. But I think that this energy in the 12th house is just saying, look, whatever your laudable desires are in the big picture, the wider perspective of your life, it's still important to make sure that you're very much in touch with your inner being. And if that relationship is really clean, up to date, organized, even if you've got issues, because I think most of us have issues. And when people say things like, like on the dating websites, I've seen it in the past, I've got no baggage at all. And you think, oh my Lord, I've got enough luggage. I always used to call it luggage. I've got enough luggage for Heathrow. So I believe that most of us have something going on. So the people who say they don't have anything going on, well, good for them. But I think as this month draws to a close, just be at peace with some of your sensitivities, but still have absolute faith in where the big picture is going, because it's truly exciting for you.